Then I discovered cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah, that became a huge problem for me. I was still doing ecstasy a lot, Thursday to Sunday. I was doing cocaine for breakfast 7 days a week, flat out.
Jody Williams, welcome to the show.
Thank you, my friend.
You're a transformation coach and the creator of the Newfoundland Method, a system that helps people stress less and live more using mindfulness, neuroscience, and lived experience. You spent over 25 years studying meditation and mental health. Your real education comes from your own battles with addiction, depression, and self-destruction. You hit rock bottom, you rebuilt from the inside out, and now you help others do the same. That's awesome. Especially men who are tired of pretending they're fine. You also own Ocean Fire Designs, and I believe that is a jewelry company.
Yeah, it's a handcrafted jewelry company.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I like those. All right, so where were you before all this in your addiction, before you rebuilt yourself?
Man, how far do you want to go back?
As far as you want. We got lots of time.
Yeah. So I mean, let's go back. Let's start from what I just right from the get-go. Let's start positive. We'll get back to the other part. Basically, no, I grew up like normal. Like, I was popular. I was captain of the teams I was on. Now I grew up poor, like, but it was like a thing, as in like I did everything in my power to hide that I was poor. I was from Windsor, right? Grand Falls, Windsor, but back then it was Windsor and Grand Falls. It wasn't Grand Falls, Windsor. So Windsor was the poor people and Grand Falls were the people with money. And Grand Falls people wouldn't go into Windsor because they would get the shit kicked out of them.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. They would never cross those tracks. They'd be scared. Oh no, it was like that.
So what was it? Just the spirit?
I don't know, man. It was like that when my dad grew up too. Like my dad and them, they would meet at the tracks and have fights with chains and bats and stuff. Like at the tracks. But the tracks was depending how old you are. There used to be trains in Newfoundland, and there's a trail. There's a trail that goes right across Newfoundland that has the old railway on it. And when I grew up, we did have that train. And like literally, that's what divided Grand Falls and Windsor was, the train tracks, right? It was interesting because we lived on one side, right? And then, but of course, when we went to high school, we had to go into Grand Falls to go to high school.
So you physically had the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, I was physically on the other side of the tracks. I had to go into the high school. It was all good, and then in my I did all that. I came out to St. John's. I got out of my little town. But one thing, growing up though, even though I was popular and like stuff, I always felt different. Like, yeah, like it's hard to explain. Like I didn't belong in that little town, or like I didn't even, like, usually people, like, when high school, right, they do the summer job and then they go to, like, I just left the day after high school and moved to St. John's. And I started working for Jungle Gyms. I opened up, in my 20s, I opened all their franchises all throughout Atlantic Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I came out to St. John's, there was 2 Jungle Gyms, one on Torbay Road and Topsail Road. And then George Street, I opened that, Clarenville, Corner Brook. Then I went to the mainland. It was a good life, living in hotels, drinking a lot. But then, man, somewhere along the way, around 20, I moved to Moncton when I was 20 to open Jungle Gyms in 2000. And, sorry, I was older than 20. Oh, no, 20, I was around 20. 21. And then something happened there, or as in, like, that's when my mental health really, I was there a couple of years and I started doing ecstasy. And up to this point, I smoked weed every day back then, but But like, it didn't affect my there was no mental health issue to this part, right? Then I started doing ecstasy. At the time, like that was, now I know, like back then I was still communicating with people, and that drug wasn't in Newfoundland for like 8 years later. And I just fell in love with that drug, man. I was always a deeply spiritual person, and that drug has a spiritual quality, like this lovey thing that I don't know, man. Once I felt that, I was like, whoa, this is different than any other thing I've ever done. Most drugs are like heady. This was like, very full body, very, it was spiritual to me. And being spiritual, that's what I liked about it. The problem was, and of course, is that I liked it too much. At one point, I started doing it a lot. And then in 2000, I moved to Moncton in 95, sorry, I was 20. In 2000, remember the Y2K when the world was supposed to end? Or whatever, the clocks or whatever it was?
Yeah.
So that night, that day was my 80th day in a row on ecstasy.
80 days.
Yeah, it was 80 days. So I don't know if people know how ecstasy works. It's a serotonin-based drug, and your body needs to reproduce it. There's not infinite supply. You need time to, you need time. Basically, when you don't do the drug, it rebuilds. But if you're going to do it for 80 days. So I went to this rave, and I just remember, man, like I was like, it's got to go. I remember jumping from the stairs, like jumping, because I had to get to the bathroom so quick. But then when I woke up, I was in the hospital with like bright lights, and I was like, what the fuck was going on? Anyway, I had overdosed, and they had found me in the bathroom sucking up my own puke on the floor. They called 911. And this was an illegal rave. So like now all of a sudden everybody's in this abandoned building, cops, fireplace, ambulance showing up. It was horrible, dude. It was like the most embarrassing thing ever. And it's crazy. So I was kind of like, I was blank, right? I just felt like nothing. But my friend, I remember he's like, Jody, I see my friend there. I was like, hey. He's like, man, you overdosed or some shit. Like, the rave got busted. He wasn't even there. He just, some other friend who was there called him, and he came to the hospital. And he's like, man, there's a cop outside waiting to talk to you. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He asked me if I was there, and he wants to know. Basically, they want to know where I got the ecstasy. Because it was a new drug to the city, and they're trying to find out who the dealers were.
Gotcha.
Because it was brand new, right? And so he smoked, right? So he went out for a smoke, whatever. This is a crazy story. So he comes back. He goes, "Come on, get up." I was like, "What?" He said, "Get up." And he had a fucking like a wheelchair. He's like, "I think I just seen the cop. He's gone to the bathroom." Dude snuck me out of the hospital, man. My best friend, like literally in a robe, and we ran at the hospital. So the crazy part was, this is like, say, 3 a.m. At 5 a.m., I was already scheduled to fly home to Newfoundland for a visit. But now I just overdosed. I'm blank. I'm 80 pounds lighter than I was 2 months before. I'm down to like 130. I was 200. I was 208 probably for a while. And so he brings me to the airport, and he says to them that I was really sick or something, and that I needed to be taken care of. So they put me up front instead of my actual seat, and I sat with the stewardesses and stuff. And man, I remember, man, getting off in Gander, and I'll never forget, man, when my dad saw me. Ugh, goosebumps now. Just seeing me, like, like not even recognizable, right? Like I was always bigger, and now here I am, this little thing of bones. I can't talk. There's obviously something wrong. We drove from Gander to Grand Falls, which is an hour drive, and we didn't speak one word, not even a hello. How was your flight? Just 1 hour, me and Dad, toxic masculinity. Let's not talk about nothing. Let's pretend everything's fine. Mm-hmm. When I needed him to be a dad.
Yeah. So what was it?
I know you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
So for me, that was a horrible moment, you know.
Like, how did you get here, you know? At least from your father to taking you on that ride. For those 30 days, I mean, your serotonin must have been completely drained.
Yeah.
What's it like to keep going?
Well, when I got, oh man, it's crazy. You just need to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, or stop. But like that's the thing, right? It's like you ought to do more, or stop and sleep, and have something to eat. The thing is too, it's a speedy drug, right? So I also didn't eat for 80 days. I didn't sleep for 80 days. So it's not just a drug. I didn't eat or sleep for 80 days either, and I was still working as a chef, right?
So how did you survive that?
I don't know, man. So when I came home, I went right in my old room in my house. We lived in this little tiny house, and I just shut the door. And about 4 hours later, my mom knocked. Let me in. Now my mom's different, right, than my dad, obviously. So she comes in, and she sat on the bed. And I remember, I just started crying, really. And man, I remember having my head in her lap, just like I was a baby. She rubbed my head. She's like, I don't know what's going on in your life. She's like, but you're not going back to Moncton. You're staying home. I was like, what? She's like, you're not. I'm 26 years old now. My mom's calling the shots. She's like, you're not going back to Moncton. You're staying here until you're better. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't care what's wrong with you right now. But I will deal with everything. Just give me one phone number or two. Give me the phone number to your work, phone number to your roommate, and I'll deal with everything. You're not going back. I was like, what the fuck? And I spent like 3 months in that room. It took 3 months for my serotonin to come back, to get back to a functional. Serotonin also deals with like motor skills, sleep, not just your mood. So like, you know, it was like affecting me a lot, right? And showing up in a lot of different ways, right? So
you had to truly detox from it.
Yeah. Then I took about 3 months there. Then I went to the cabin for about a month by myself and did a silent retreat. And then I came out to town. I hitchhiked to town. And I ran into some old friends of mine that used to work at jungle gyms. And they're like, man, what are you doing here? I thought you were in Moncton. Like, nah, I'm home now. But I'm like, I'm in Grand Falls. I just hitchhiked out for the weekend. And they're like, oh, dude, we're just about to open up like a franchise. And that was my thing, opening restaurants. I was like, what? So it was my brother's place. They one on Torrey Road, one in Mile 1, one on Topsail Road, and one in CBS. That was very short. So I opened all them then. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So they hired me. I opened up all those restaurants. At some point so the problem was then I discovered cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah, that became a huge problem for me. I was still doing ecstasy a lot, Thursday to Sunday. I was doing cocaine for breakfast 7 days a week, flat out. Overdosed again. This time on cocaine. Ended up in the hospital again. Yeah, so then I got out. I was working at Mile 1 too, right? So at Mile 1, my job there, so I worked there twice. I worked there once for my brother's place when they had a restaurant. This is back when I was doing drugs before my daughter. I worked for Mile 1 later with my daughter in the picture, not on drugs. But ultimately, my job was literally to cater to the rock stars that came, and I was the only one allowed to talk to them, the only one allowed in the room, the only one allowed to see them. It was my job to get them drugs, get them everything they wanted. Food, $3,000 bottles of wine, whatever, doctors, massages. It was my job to get them all that, right? And of course, you end up hanging out. That's the nature of, you go get an ounce of blow for the band. They're probably gonna invite you back to their hotel room.
How old are you at this point?
Oh, I'm only like probably about 30.
Wow. So you must have felt like a rock star.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Hanging out with them.
I was a rock star. Yeah, I'd call it a rock star without a guitar. Yeah, no, certainly. Then though, I was like, all right. I would be cooking, right, at mile 1, place packed, like 5 cooks behind me, and there was 3 microwaves. So when you're the head chef, you don't cook. You just deal with getting the food out. You're telling the cooks what to cook. Your job is it's called expediting, getting the food out. And dude, man, I used to have a plate of cocaine in this middle microwave. And the owner would be like, right there. And I'd be doing it, and he wouldn't even know, man. It's funny, he goes, I have a men's yoga class now on Tuesday nights. And he's one of the people that go. I told him like a month ago. I was like, yeah, I got to tell you something. He showed up early by himself. And I was like, I said, you know when I worked down there, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, a couple things. One, I was on the blow, like, all the time. He's like, what? What's blow? I'm like, cocaine. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I've never seen you. I was like, dude, I used to do cocaine right in front of you. You just didn't see. I was like, literally, right in front of you. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, that's not the part I got to tell you, though. The part I got to tell you is that I stole around 10 grand from you.
Wow.
And he's like, what? And I'm waiting, and he's like, well, what do you mean? Where did you get this? So I can't get into details too much, but ultimately there was some money that was put away, and I wasn't taking it from the cash. It was this place where money was hid a little bit, and I was taking it like $100 a day almost. And man, he just laughed. I was so, because I carried around, this is a friend of mine, right? I'm carrying around this for 20 years. I stole 10 grand from my friend. And like,
It's a heavy weight.
dude, man, when I told him, I didn't know. Like, I was like, I'll pay him back, like, even if it takes me the rest of my life. And he just busted out laughing. I was like, what? He's like, go on, buddy. He's like, that was 20 years ago, sure. He said, what do you think? He said, why do you think that money was hid away in the first place? I was like, yeah, of course. So basically, yeah, exactly. He's like, just don't tell no one else about it. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, keep that secret. Keep that secret.
Yeah. And then in 2007, I went away to be a monk. I went to France. So my Zen teacher, 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐿, dead now. But I went to...
How did you get there? How did you decide to become a monk?
Oh, well, during all this time when I'm talking about this drug coinciding, I'm going on retreats. I got a Buddhist teacher. I'm meditating all the time. So like I'm living like 2 lives. I have my spiritual friends, then I have my drug co-worker friends, and they don't know each other. My teacher knew I was doing drugs. I mean, I didn't hide it from him or anything, certainly. But I guess ultimately I was using, it's like, put it this way, I guess the choices were go to rehab or go to a Zen monastery. I'll go to the Zen monastery. For me, that made more sense because I was really deep into that practice. So I went there to be a monk. I was going to go. I wasn't coming back. I had 2 houses here. At the time, they were both leased out for a year. I had management companies watching them. But dude, like before I went there, I was still like, so what happened was I knew I was going to go there in like 3 months, right? I had planned it all, like, you know, save, put money away. And the whole time I was like, okay, you should stop doing drugs now. Like, you know, it's getting close. You should stop. Didn't stop. Fucking did blow that morning, man, before I got on the plane and go to Paris. Right there, I threw a gram of cocaine in an airport flower pot at the airport. Because I was doing rips right up till I got on the plane, and I just threw it right in the flower pot before I went through security.
How do you function doing cocaine in the morning and getting on a flight or doing work all day?
I don't know, man. Like, now I couldn't, there's no way at 52 I could do that, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I think my youth allowed me to do it. There's no way I could do that now. My mental health is way worse than it's ever been. Due to, I think, a cumulative effect of all these drugs and stress that I've have. Like I said, I told you off camera, I'm raising my daughter alone for 10 years. So I do have this constant stress. Like right now I'm looking for work, even though I have 5 businesses or something. But right now I'm trying to just find some predictable, stable income, right? My last job I burnt out and had to leave. But yeah, man, it was, I went away to be a monk. I was only there, and what happened was, when I started coming off drugs, my teacher, he wasn't there yet. He was doing a European tour. This is like one of the most famous teachers in the world. And I'm in this bunkhouse with like 15 other guys, right? It's the cheapest way to go there, so you share like in a barn or whatever. And I was just off the rails. Like, I couldn't sleep. I was being disruptive, loud. I was full of anger. This place is fucking rotten dirty. Like, I was just going around being an arsehole. Anyway, I get called in the office by the abbot. So the abbot is like the boss, right? He's like, well, he's like, I got some serious news. He's like, we're gonna have a vote tonight. I was like, a vote? What? A vote on whether or not you can stay. I was like, what? I said, I'm here for, he's like, no. He said, I'm sick of, this is a monk now. I'm sick of hearing complaints about you. You're being totally disruptive. Everybody is complaining about you. Like, what's going on? And I was like, then I just confessed to him. I said, listen, I'll be honest with you. I said, I have a drug problem. He's like, you read on our website though, right? To not show up here with a drug problem. I said, yes, I did, and I apologize. But that's what's going on. I'm coming off drugs right now. He's like, all right, we're going to vote tonight on whether or not you can stay. And I was like, oh man, like I just spent $7,000. Like I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Horrible. I couldn't think of something more horrible. Luckily, I had a friend who'd been going there for a couple of years, and he had like a lot of clout there. So even though there's monks, there's like lay people that they let teach a little bit.
Okay.
If they feel they're knowledgeable enough. They let him go to this meeting. I didn't know he was going to go to it. And so the next day, about early, man, like 5 a.m., still dark out, knocks on in, get all your stuff, come with me. It's like, fuck this, man. This is fucking shit. I can't believe it. Like, I'm going home. I go in his office, and he's like, so we had the vote. He goes, luckily for you, everyone's brother there, right? Because it's Christian brother. Your brother Gary was, I was like, well, yeah, your brother Gary, he was at the meeting, and he vouched for you. He said, you're a great guy. You know, like just he begged us to give you a chance, and I'm just now at this point I'm crying. I'm just like overwhelmed, right? My friend's like, he's like, anyway, good news is we're gonna let you stay, but you like a probation kind of vibe. I was like, what? I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. He goes, but you're not staying with the rest of the crew. You're too disruptive. We need to get you healed before Ty. Ty is the teacher. He's like, he's going to be here in 5 days, and you need to be healed in 5 days. All right. I was like, all right. He goes, follow me. So I was literally in a barn. Okay, like literally a barn with like built cots out of wood. So then we go. No, this is real. Then we go up these stairs. And he opens up this door, and man, dude, I'm like in the Ritz-Carlton with like a sunroom, my own shower. Like I'm in a fancy 5-star hotel. He's like, I'm like, what? What is this? He's like, so my teacher's famous, right? So his clients are like Oprah, sports celebrities. He's like, oh, this is for Ty's celebrity clients. They fly in on a helicopter, and this is where they stay. I was like, this is where I'm staying? He's like, yeah, you're going to stay here until you're better. You're not allowed to leave this room. The monks will bring you your food. They're going to take care of you. They're going to do whatever. They're going to do whatever it takes to get you better. And dude, I just remember crying, man. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't deserve this, right? I was full of self-hatred at the time. I still have a little bit of that in me. Low self-worth. And when you have low self-worth and you have self-hatred, when someone shows you compassion, it's overwhelming almost. Like it's like almost hard to, because you don't have it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? These monks were bringing me food, and they were massaging me. Then I'd deal with homophobia. Of men massaging me, and that was coming up because I grew up in a homophobic home where my dad used to drop the F word like it was nothing. You know what I mean? Like that was just the way I grew up.
Yeah.
Like, racist jokes, homosexual jokes. That was just everyday norm. Not because my dad's a bad person. That was just the 70s and 80s.
Absolutely.
It was normal.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that person, right? But we inherited it, whether we like it or not, and that's something men have to deal with. We're also victims of patriarchy. No one talks about that. Everyone talks about it as women are victims of patriarchy. Well, so am I. Yeah, sure, man. Absolutely. Not like women probably, but we are victims. Like I said, I was homophobic, and it became quite evident I was homophobic when these nuns who were just trying to help me, I would cringe, man, when they would touch me, like they'd massage me, trying to make me better, right? I'd be like, oh my God. I was like, wow. And I got over that. And he came, and I met him for the first time. But, which really changed my life, man. I had an experience with him that really blew my mind.
Were you detoxed at this point?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I know, yeah, but even though like the 5 days, that was actually day 18 of me being there, because I went there like early, so I was good, yeah. But what happened was I got really sick. I had whenever you travel a different country, there's a chance you could get sick just from drinking the water, like your body, you're taking on different bacteria.
That's right.
So I gotten really ill, even though I was better. But now I had diarrhea and stuff, and throwing up, that was gone. But I was just down to really bad diarrhea. And they always said, like, when Ty comes, here's the rules, like, things change, like, it's serious, more serious when he's around. When he teaches twice a week, and that's the only time that the monks and nuns come together. And he said when he teaches, once he enters the room, no one leaves the room. And he could teach for 2 or 3 hours. He speaks 5 languages. He speaks in a different language every day. And we all wear headphones based on what language you are. But that's how it worked. And I remember being in there, the first day he showed up. It was dark. And I had heard stuff about him, but I didn't believe in enlightenment. I didn't believe there was such thing. I didn't believe the Buddha was enlightened. I didn't think there was human beings on this planet, or I didn't believe like, oh my God, you should see the way he walks and the way he eats. I'm like, what the fuck, man? He's just getting on with. But man, I tell you, dude, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, everything in that room changed. I get goosebumps now.
I can see them.
Every hair on my man, dude. And I just felt the energy in that room change. And he had entered the room, is what it was. But I didn't know that's what it was. And I look, and I kind of see him. He's coming up, monk's lifting his robes up. And he gets up there. And then he gets up and we meditate for about an hour. Then we chant. And I'm getting sick, right? Like, I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, he always taught on a whiteboard, right? So he got up to go to the whiteboard, and I was kind of out on the end anyway. And I was like, oh, now's my chance. He got his back to me. I didn't care about everyone else. I just didn't want him seeing me leaving. So I go up to the door, and no one's seeing me because I'm like sneaking out the back. There's 400 people looking this way. And I opened the door and I let it go. Big freaking wind came and slammed the door. And it was all glass building. And 400 people and him look at me.
Oh my God.
Dude, it was so bad. And I like ran. I barely made it to the bathroom. I barely made it. And then I was outside. Not allowed back in now. Because that's the rule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't go, like you're out now. So here I am waiting to see this guy. I spent all this money. Went through all that stuff. Now he's teaching. Now I'm outside. I'm like, oh my God, man, let's go. Like, all right. Anyway, I'm sitting there, and about 2 hours later, I'm just feeling like an arsehole. I can't go back. We took a bus, so I got to hang out until we can get on the bus to go back. And I felt it again. And I look, and he's there. And I just turned my head right away. I was like, holy shit. And I look, and whenever he goes anywhere, he has monks with him, and they lift up his thing, I guess, so it doesn't, he kind of looked at them, and he was like this, and I look, and he's coming towards me alone, and I'm like, oh, and he comes over, and he goes, he doesn't talk, he tells me to stand up, he puts his arm in mine, like hooks it in, and then points, and there was this bamboo grove, it was just like, this thing of bamboos, but it was cut open. And when we went inside, they had it all hollowed out, and there was a little bench there. And he doesn't talk. He just goes like this, points to the bench. I sit down on the bench. He sits next to me. He puts one hand here, puts one hand on my forehead. He don't say nothing. And I'll just like feel this love I've never felt before. It's the word I can describe, but not love like romantic, like care, support, or like, I don't know, something. And I knew it was right then and there I was healed. There was no more doubt, like I knew. And then, that only lasted about a minute, and then he looks up, and there's a bird up on a branch. This is so zen. He looks at me, and he goes, I look up at the bird, I look down at him, and then we both smile, and he got up and left.
Wow.
That was it, man. He never said, the whole time he didn't speak one word, and he healed me. And in Zen is like very hard to teach and explain, but him pointing to that bird is total Zen. It's like, get out of your mind, and because that bird is more real than my thoughts, is what he was saying. Like this, you're making yourself sick.
Is that the concept of no mind?
Yeah, like you're making your, like he knew that like my mind was going off the rails, right? because he can read your mind. Like he's at that level, right? He's, you know, which I realized after. So he was saying, look at the bird. That's more real than your mind, is what he was saying to me, or what's going on in your mind, without saying anything. And I was healed. And it was funny though. So I was 35 at this point, and I just started seeing this girl right before I left, but I wouldn't let myself like her, you know. We both knew I was going to be a monk, but we were obviously falling in love, but we didn't. We pretended we weren't. But I used to call her every Sunday, right, because she was going through depression. I was like, man, I fucking miss this girl, you know. And she's like, you know, I really wish you were here and shit. And I was like, fuck, right, I'm going to be a monk. Like, what? And the day I went to be a monk, you're supposed to go on, they're like, you go on this long walk, okay? Long, 5 hours, they reckon. Like, get out of here. Now, there's a boundary of the monastery, you're not allowed to leave it. But you're out in the French countrysides with like vineyards and sun. This is very magical and beautiful. And I remember walking, and first hour or so, man, I was just bopping along, like wasting time, really. I'm like, let's get this over with. I'm going to be a monk. And at some point, I remember, man, it was like, you know those helicopters that have a sign on the back? It was like that appeared in my mind or something. It was like, no, you're going home. It said 3 things. You're going home. You're going to get married. You're going to have a baby. And you're going to get a job making 60 grand a year. And it was so real. And I was like, what? And it was so real, so real, so real. I go back and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be a monk. And they're like, what? I was like, no, I'm going home. They're like, and my buddy, he's like freaking out. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, no. I said, I don't know. I said, I just made a mistake. I said, I'm only 35. And I said, up to this point, I just did drugs and I didn't think I would ever be a father. I said, it didn't occur to me. But now I'm like, geez, maybe I might want to have a kid, or I don't know. Because this is the first time in my life I've been sober. Right? And this was like, besides getting that message, but what that message made me realize was like, hold up here now, dude. Like, you actually haven't been sober. So how do you know that you don't, like, you just didn't think you could be a dad.
Yeah.
You didn't think you were worthy enough to be a partner to someone. I had slept with a couple of 100 women in my 20s. I was not boyfriend material. Believe me. No. I tried liking a couple of girls, and they specifically said it to me. You be my boyfriend? No. So
how long were you sober at this point?
3 months. I got 3 months in now. I got 90 days in, right? Which they say is kind of the magic number. Most rehabs are actually coincidentally 90 days. The real ones, not there's 30-day ones, but 66 days is the new science for creating a habit, or changing a major habit, say. So yeah, man, I flew home. I started seeing that girl right away. So I was working for my brother's place, who was in mile 1. When I got back, I had like 12 emails from mile 1. My brother's place were gone at this point because there's no hockey team. There's no point in having a restaurant. They're like, where are you? Where are you? We need a food and beverage manager. We want to hire you. I was like, what? I start seeing this girl. I go down to mile 1. This all in like 2 weeks. I took a week to just, like I say, hide away. I couldn't leave the house because of the traffic and stuff. I went down to mile 1 for a meeting, and they had done some interviews, hired me, brought me down, and they slipped me this piece of paper. Look at it. Job offer. 60,000. I was like, what?
Get out of here.
I swear to God.
That's amazing.
I know. So, and this girl, within 3 weeks, she was moved in with me. Like we were, then it was on. Like, it was like, okay, now I'm not gonna be a monk. Like, we can be in love. Like, it went. Then she moved in. About 6 months later, she says to me, so I'm 36, she's 25. She said, do you want me to stop taking my pill? I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't think about it. I was just like, yeah, sure. So the very first freaking time, man, the very first month of not taking the pill, I went home from work one day and she goes, shows me the fucking test, and I was like, what's that? I never even seen a pregnancy test before. She's like, look at it. I'm like, hey, but what? She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, and I wasn't happy. Like, you know, it's not that, like, I wasn't jumping in the air and being like, yeah, I'm gonna. It was shock. Like, what? I was like, where did you get that? She's like, I got it at the corner store. This is in 𝐾𝐨𝐽 where we had moved or something. I was like, that don't work. I'm going to go to the drugstore. I went to the drugstore, bought like a $30 pregnancy test. That was digital. And I was like, that's definitely. So we go home and take it, and she's pregnant. And I'm like, whoa. And we both were just like, we're both drug addicts, right? She's a drug addict too, right?
So you were back on drugs?
Oh, yeah. I
that
started
point?
doing drugs when I got back home from the monastery again.
Wow.
Of course I did. Well, I mean, not of course I did, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't plan on it. I just started seeing this girl, and she was doing drugs, and I just was like, well, in my mind, because she asked me to save her, and I was like, I'll do drugs with her for a while, and then I'll get her off drugs. We'll get off drugs together. That's what'll happen. And that is what happened. I did have a plan. I did do drugs. I loved this girl. I mean, she became my wife. So, yeah, she's pregnant. And then we're like, oh, man. And I had 2 houses in the city. And I was like, we should get out of here. I was like, yeah. So I was like, let's start looking for houses. Let's get out of the city, right? Away from all of our friends. So I bought a house in 𝐾𝐨𝐽, 45 minutes out of town. And I was working at mile 1, like 18 hours a day sometimes. And then she had the baby, and she had the worst postpartum depression, dude. And I thought she was gonna kill my child.
Wow.
Like she also thought she could kill our child. She told me explicitly, like, I'm worried I'm gonna kill our daughter. Like, that's the thoughts I'm having. I'm like, holy shit, dude, like what? Like, I'm working 45 minutes away, and you're having thoughts of killing our daughter? She's like, yeah. I was like, man, what the... And I had some friends that were secretly watching her. We all were really worried about her. Well, obviously. And then, man, just kind of went to shit. Like, she, after a few months, when she stopped breastfeeding, she started going out without me. I'm going to go out for a drink with the girls. 9 o'clock the next morning, high as a kite, right? And that went on for a while. And at some point, I was like, fuck that. I kicked her out. And my daughter was 3. Yeah, basically that was, we separated then.
Sorry, man. It's,
yeah, it sucks, dude.
what a journey.
Then she stuck around for a little while, for the first few years. And she just was doing drugs off the rails and stuff. And so went through all that, sold houses, give her half, and all that. Now we haven't seen her in 4 years. I don't know where she is, actually. So yeah, that was, and I'm only at, what? I'm still only at 39 here at this point. Yeah.
When you guys lost contact, was she still using?
Yeah, like, you know, like, I don't know, like, she was in and out of her mother's life, my daughter's life for a while. Like, she would take her for a night, but basically she was not showing up for her times and stuff. So eventually I just was like, I stopped. Only about a few years ago, I put a hard no. I was like, I said to my daughter, I saw some messages to my daughter from her mom that were horrible. I can't say them because people would not even believe it probably. I said, screenshot these, send them to me. I appointed my psychiatrist the next day, showed him. He said, cut off all contact with her. That's a serious abuse. I was like, why? He's like, don't worry about courts, nothing. I'm telling you right now. You tell your daughter, just block her on everything. He's like, that is abuse as it gets. And I was like, okay. I told my daughter, and she's scared to death from her mother, right? She's like, Daddy, I don't know. Like, I'm like, no, we're blocking your mother. I'll deal with it. And that was it, man. It was kind of the beginnings, and then she went off somewhere a few years ago. I haven't seen her since. Found her once. I had to hire a private investigator to serve her to get divorced. So we split up in 2013. I only got divorced last year because I couldn't find her. A private investigator finally found her and served her. I finally got my divorce only last year, man.
Wow.
I know. So it's been a pretty crazy ride.
All right, so you removed your wife from the home, and then it's you and your daughter, and
Yeah. So
cut off contact.
I took a year when I was 40. So what happened was I was at mile 1, and that job just really required me to live. If there was an event, the rule was I had to work it, and I had to go in at 4 in the morning and work till probably 2, so I could be gone 20 hours. And now here I am, a single dad, and I'm like, so I went to my boss. I had this new boss, and I had mentioned my struggles. I'm like, I said, I don't know if I can do this. Now I'm making like a fortune, dude. Like some of these catering bills I was doing. So when you feed a band, you're feeding like 100 people. You're feeding lights, roadies. The bills would be 20, 30 grand, and I would put 15% tip on them automatically. But it'd be nothing for, say, like Neil Young, for instance. First day here, he was only here. He came here on a Monday morning. 4 o'clock in the morning, I go to meet him. He's got the Civic Center rented because he's got a new guitar player. He's going on tour, and he wants to practice. So most tours end or start in Newfoundland.
Okay.
Due to trucking. Nobody wants to come here. And I went to meet him, like, hi, I'm Jody, I'm your chef, I'll be your concert. And he was just very serious, like, I need a pound of weed. I'm like, what? I was like, it's Monday morning, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, but you don't say no, right? You're not allowed to say no to these people. Like, it was just like, and like, he wasn't nice, he didn't shake my hand, he just said, I need a pound of weed. And I was like, okay.
A pound.
Pound, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I called, I'm like, I can't get a pound. Go to my buddy's house, bang, wake him up, I get like a quarter of weed, and I go back just to hold him over, right, so he can have some joints to start jamming or whatever. And I got it later or whatever, but I mean, like, when he left, man, he slipped me an envelope with $5 grand in it.
Wow.
As a tip. That wasn't counting the $12,000 tip that I got. I was making a fortune there. So for me to leave that job, man, it sucked. Like, that was my career, Anyway, I went into work. One day I was cooking away. Like 50 things going on, man. This was one of the hardest moments of my life, even though I kind of asked for it. But the HR lady says, Jody, come with me for a minute. I was like, I said to the other chef, I'm like, dude, keep an eye. Like, I got like, a soup, bacon. I was like, I got a lot of stuff. And I go in this room, sit down, and I could tell something weird, right? Like, she's like looks like she's broke the ball. And I'm sitting on a table in a room that we don't even use either. And then my boss comes in. She goes, envelope goes, as off, right now you no longer work here. I was like, what? She goes, as off, right now you no longer work here. You're going to get up from this seat. There's a security guard right now outside this door waiting to escort you outside the building. In this envelope is a severance package for a year's pay. And then she just got up and walked out. And I say to the HR person, I'm going to go back now and get them. Like, I'm in shock, right? I'm like, I'm going to go back. She's like, Jody. And now the boss left, and then a tear does come in her eye. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what's going on right now. She goes, you're not allowed to. I was like, what? I'm not allowed to go to my office. She goes, no. You just got, like, when we open that door, you're going to be escorted out. I said, in front of all the staff. In front of everyone. She's like, yeah. I was like, man, what the... And of course I go out and like, I'm being escorted out. Everyone's looking. What's going on? My chef's like... And I'm like trying not to cry, I'm just like, what the hell, man? I went out and then I took a year off.
So what happened? Why did they let you go?
They don't tell you. They just, as long as you get a severance package, it's called no fault. I didn't get fired. I got
Wow,
severance.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not considered fired.
Yeah.
If fired and like if you give someone a severance package and it's called a no, you don't even have to tell them why, right?
It's pretty cold.
It was cold, dude, but looking back, how these things are, right? Like looking back, one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because, dude, every day in there, all I thought about was how can I leave? So, when those are your thoughts, the Buddha said, right, what we think about pretty much becomes our world. Like, so I'm in there every day just thinking, how am I going to get out of here? How am I going to get out of here? How am I going to get out of here? And of course, a month later, what happens? So I was like,
You found a way.
No, yeah. So I had a year off. I was like, well, I'll just take a year off. I got a year's pay. I was 40 years old. And I was like, I'm done. And I was working with my teacher a lot, my spiritual teacher at this time. Not the Zen one. I had a more of a local teacher. And I went hard into my spiritual practice. I just leaned right into it. And then I started teaching a little bit myself, and because my teacher was preparing me to be a teacher.
How long sober are you at this point?
Man, not long. I mean, I even relapsed. I mean, up until 3 years ago, probably I still probably have a slip once a year where I'd go get a half a gram of blow and like sit home by myself and do it. I wouldn't go out or nothing. But it's interesting about slips. I never ever had a relapse. I was never a relapser. So relapse is like,
A bender, I guess.
yeah, like people don't do a half gram by themselves. They're probably getting an 8-ball, or they might start off with a half gram, but ultimately they're going to keep going.
Yeah.
I was more of a slip person because I had a lot going on. I had my daughter at this point, and had these big professional jobs. It just, so, it was very secretive when I did have a slip. But it was good, slips remind you of why you quit, right? Because like the first line of cocaine is amazing. You get that like dopamine, like you're just like, whoa. But man, the second line, hell. Like my mind would just be like, you're a piece of shit, you loser. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing like what the, like? Then it just went to shit. And then but then I didn't want to do more, or like, so like the slips are good,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like slips are good, man. I work with some addicts, and That's part of getting clean is having slips.
That's right.
Yeah, because they teach you, right? They can't. It's like everything in life, right? Like, you know, I think people need to extrapolate wisdom when they're ready. I don't think it should be forced on them.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, looking back, what seems like the worst things in your life can be the best things if you can reframe them later and see how they, because of that, this happened.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the time, it seems like catastrophic. Like I'm there right now, man. Right now, I'm like, man, I'm like, can't really find work. I'm like, I'm really struggling because I was always the captain, always the boss. Like I've never worked anywhere where I wasn't the boss in my life.
Wow.
Ever. Since I've been 15. I did an interview 2 weeks ago. It was my second interview at 52. Because I've always been headhunted for jobs. Like people would call me up and offer me jobs. Now, I said this to this friend of mine the other day. I had an interview, and I was like, I just thought I would get the job. It was an amazing interview. I like told everyone's like, yeah. Of course, I didn't get it. So then, of course, I get the fucking text coming in. Then I'd tell people, and man, I was like, and then I went to dark place, man, for a couple of days. I was like, man, how do you go from being the captain to not being picked for the team? Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, that's heavy.
And realize it's because you're 52, dude. You know, like, to me, I, like, think I'm young. But when you got a 28-year-old girl interviewing you, to them, you're not young, are you? You're a middle-aged man who probably is going to be too old to teach new tricks and all these stuff that...
Set in your ways and all that.
Set in your ways and and the other one is you're overqualified. And so I'm going through that right now. But I'm in that place, man. I'm in that scary place, right? That's like, but you know, like I say I'm a Buddhist pastoral care worker in the prison. That's a volunteer job. I teach men's yoga.
How is it in the prison? How are you? Are you accepted? Is it a thing you got to work on people?
Yeah. So I started teaching yoga in the prison before COVID.
What's that like?
So this is how I ended up in the prison. It wasn't. I'll give you the story. So,
Okay.
a friend of mine calls me, dude. They're looking for. Okay. So no, sorry. Let's step it back a notch. At 40 years old, I said I'm never going to ever make money ever again, my North Star. I will only from now on live a life of service. And that will be my deciding factor for everything. So I went at 40, I went and applied to this job. So I used to make like 200 grand a year. Applied for a job, was $18 an hour. At the food bank, making a bit of bread and some soup. And I was like, I'll take that as a stepping stone job. I had some money in the bank, whatever. Sounds cool. It's food bank, service, my new me, new Jody.
Good for the soul.
Good for the soul. I'm working there about a week, and I go in one day, and it's all weird in there and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, oh, we let the executive director go. And I'm like, what? My boss, I just bet, it's gone. They're like, yeah. And they were like, so, what do you think? I was like, what do you mean? Like, well, you got lots of it. You got lots of management experience stuff. I was like, oh, you want me to be executive director? They're like, no. Well, I mean, like, and then I was like, actually, you know what? I'll try. Yeah, let's do it. But it wasn't like giving me the title. It was like, let's see if you can do some of this kind of work. And because it's heavily fundraising, right? You need to fundraise to keep the food bank open.
Yeah.
It's all based on fundraising. There's no government money, right? It's Bridges to Hope, busiest food bank in Newfoundland, down on Cookstown Road. And man, I was good at it, dude. Yeah, like I was good at it. And I went from like 18, and I went to 27, and I went to 37, and it was like within a year, I had doubled my income. I was running that place for 10 years. But boy, did I ever burn out in a major way about a year and a half ago. I just completely burnt out, and it happened again. Came just like total repeat of mile one, man. The old severance package is like decade later. Here I am now at 50. Off again. So yeah, but I was working in the prison, so I'll revisit that. So basically, a friend of mine, he said, dude, I just saw this like ad. They're looking for like a yoga teacher in the prison, and that he knew like I really wanted to work in that world, right? So I was like, what? So I called up the lady. There was a number involved. I called her, and she's like, we just hired someone. She goes, but. She goes, hold on, you're a guy. She goes, I've never had a guy apply to be a yoga teacher in the prison. She goes, I'll be honest with you, the women in here only last a month anyway, and they quit because the boys harass them and stuff, right? She's like, I'm going to go back to that girl, and I'm going to see if she wants to share it with you. Maybe. So she called her up, and she's like, I got good news. She said she'll share because she likes to travel a lot. So she said she's totally open to sharing it. So at this point before this, yoga was not a hit. The room could fit 8 people, but maybe 2 would go.
Okay.
Then I start going in. Now I'm going in there covered in tats. I look like them. And they know I'm drugs. I'm telling them, right? Like, hey guys, Jody. First, straight up, man, to get that rapport, right? I would just say to them, I'm like, yeah, I'm Jody. I'm an ex-drug addict, overdose, couple of them. Right away, I'm in with them. Like, they're like, yes, but dude. And then next week, class is full. Next week, 8 people on the wait list to get in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You build that rapport.
Yeah, but plus it was more than that. Like I was bringing in music, and they don't have music, right? So I was really going out of my way to like make cool playlists with some songs that I knew that like new Eminem would be out, and like I know like they don't have access to that, and it's a huge thing when you're in prison, right? It's like, you got the new Eminem? I'm like, yeah, I got a couple songs, and they'd both be freaking out, right? But man, it was scary teaching in there. Like, because what happens in the yoga class is there's 4 pods in the prison.
Okay.
And they don't mix, right? One pod is the diddlers and the tattletales, so child molesters, and they'll get killed. They can't even be in the general public. Then you have these other pods, and they keep certain people away from each other and stuff. But yoga class, you're drawing from the pods.
Oh, man.
And then you're in this room smaller than this. Well, it's about this size. So normally when you teach yoga, the teacher's up front and the mats are that way. And you're looking at someone's arse in front of you. And in prison, I did it differently. I was like, okay, well, boss. So I ordered this book called Trauma Informed Yoga as soon as I got the job. And it was saying, like, in a trauma-informed yoga class, like, everybody needs to see each other. It's really important so they can feel safe, right? So it was like 4 guys on each side of me every class. And, but man, it was awesome, man. Like, I love it. Like, there's a few guys now, man, that are still in my life, because of that. And like, they've completely changed their lives because of meeting me.
That must feel pretty rewarding.
Well, last year, I know for a fact I saved 7 lives.
Wow.
5 suicides and 2 murders didn't happen because of me. Yeah, man, it's I love that work. It's the most profound, impactful work I do. To sit across from a murderer, though, as close as we are, in a room with no microphones and no cameras, the thing is I show no fear, and they're not used to that. So then they get freaked out because I have the ability to just be calm no matter what, and they're like, some of them just say to me, "You're not afraid of me, are you?" I'm like, "No, why would I be afraid of you? Everyone's afraid of me. I'm here to help you." Which, this is how I looked at it, right? It's like,
my mind goes to those poor women that were in there.
well, now women were
gotta be
in the
pretty
yoga
intimidating.
class, right? Like, this is the prison. So what happened was in the yoga class, this is how yoga ended for me. I was in yoga class one night, and before yoga, I would always get a list sent to me, emailed by the boss, and the boss worked 8:30 to 4:30. Yoga was at 6:30 at night.
Okay.
All the management are gone home. It's just the skeleton security crew. So I go in this night, and I have my sheet, and I show up, and then they give me this new sheet. There's names crossed out and stuff. This has never happened before. I'm like, whatever. I go on up. And the way yoga was, you might get a couple of guys that are regulars, but due to the nature of prison, people are just constantly flowing in and out, right? Going to court, out, gone off to federal prison. This white guy comes in, and I already know the first few people, fist bump, fist bump, fist bump. All of a sudden, this white guy comes in, 6'4", about 250, no shirt on, but just wear their underwear in yoga usually. Boxer shorts. But he's got a swastika, man. His whole chest is a swastika. And as soon as he walked in, everybody was like, you could feel, man, they were like scared to death of this guy. And they also, the vibe was like, what is he doing here?
Oh, God.
Like, everyone, yeah. So I go up to him, I'm like, hey, Joe, I'm Jody. And he just looks down and he's like, okay. So there's one more pod left to come up. I go waiting. Black guy shows up. 6 foot. Exact same size as the white guy. And the white guy is just looking at him the whole time. And the guards are acting funny too. And I'm like, something's going on, man. Something's going on. And everyone now, when the black guy came in, now everything is completely like, I know something's happening. So the guard shut the door, and I just about to talk, and the white guy looks at the black guy and says, "What the fuck you looking at, N-word?" And they met in the middle of the room and went at it, man.
Oh, my God, man.
And I don't mean fighting. I mean fight to death. The whole room. So there's no guards now. The guards are all downstairs. I had to go to this emergency phone to let them know something's happening. When I go to haul the phone off, someone takes my arm and won't let me do it because they want the fight to keep going. So I'm like, now I'm covered in blood. There's blood all over the walls. So I just get underneath a desk and hide away. And then all of a sudden I hear like elephants, man. And this was them coming. But they got the full gear on. They got the fucking bats, the shields, gloves. And they come in, and the white guy is on top of the black guy. And and they're like, one chance. And he didn't listen. And they cracked him across here. Broke his collarbone with a bat, and he just threw up and passed out on top of the black guy, and they just hauled two of them out by their feet. Blood everywhere, man.
Oh, fuck.
And the boys look at me, and I'm covered in blood. We're all covered in blood. And I'm just like, I'm in shock. Like, I'm literally just like, I don't know what's going on right now. And they're like, what do you mean? Let's do yoga. I was like, what?
We're fucking covered in blood.
I was like, I'm out of here, man. I'm out, man. Like, I don't know. So I went
Let's
down.
do yoga.
I know, man. So I went down. It's like I went home. And the next day I get a call to go in. So there's a camera in that room, but there's no sound, okay? This is the most fucked up part, dude. It really is. And still to this day, it's a problem for me. So the chief, not being trauma informed and not knowing anything about psychology or nothing, calls me in. He said, I heard you had an incident. I said, an incident?
Attempted
Yeah,
murder.
sure. Both the boys are in the hospital at this point, right? I said, yeah, I guess you can call it an incident. He's like, I need you to do something for me now. I said, why? He said, well, I want you to watch the video, and because there's no sound, and I want you to, like talk, like tell us what's going on. Like what? He's like, this was a setup, right? He said, we already got one of our corrections officers already fired over this, and another one said, what? He said, they put them in there to fight and bet money on it. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it was a setup. They're never supposed to be together. And they were put in there on purpose. And I was like, what? He's like, yes, one guy's already fired over and the other guy's on the suspension. I was like, man. Anyway, he presses play, and now, dude, this is where the trauma came from, not from the event. Now, I'm seeing me in it. Like I'm watching a movie of this happening, and I'm in it. I'm seeing the guys, I'm seeing me, I'm seeing the person. Now I know who took my arm away. I see me getting under the desk. And dude, man, I can still have nightmares about that. Because now it's a movie to me. And when I went to trauma therapist, because they had to pay for a trauma therapist to prison.
Yeah.
She said to me, she's like, I cannot believe that he did that to you. He's like, that is more traumatic than the event. I was like, yeah, well, I don't have nightmares about the event. I have nightmares. The nightmare is me watching the video with me in it.
Man.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, I'm done with yoga. It just, COVID kind of came. And then there was no yoga. And when COVID came back, they were like, oh, yoga's starting up again. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not going back to yoga. And then about a week later, the Catholic guy, he reached out to me. He said, you're a Buddhist teacher, right? I said, yeah. He said, can you do pastoral care work? I said, I don't know. I said, I had to ask my teacher to qualify me in Buddhism. I said, everything is done like one-on-one teachers with. It's not like certificates necessarily like. He said, oh, because in Catholicism, say you would go and do a course in how to be a pastoral care worker. So I went to my teacher, and he's like, yep, you got mine. Go ahead. Wrote a little note. And then I went in there, then I started seeing people as a Buddhist pastoral care worker one-on-one.
And you got some balls. So the guard set up a death match in your yoga class. And then you're forced to watch the video. And then you go back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
I've had some crazy experiences in the one-on-one room.
Has it been violent?
No, but I saw a guy once who ran the prison. He just got back from federal. And he asked to see me. And I remember when I went in, when I go in, I don't know who I'm seeing. They're just like, here's the room, here's your list. Next to the list is what ward you're in. I call down. He send up Bobby Joe to spiritual to, yeah, sure, okay. And usually the guys come in all by themselves, right? Not supervised, just come on in. Hey, it's nice to meet you. And then one day they look down, they see it, and they're laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? They're like, he wants to see pastoral care. I was like, why? He's like, dude, man, he's fucking with you or something. He's like, he's in solitary. He's like, he runs this place. He's like a murderer. He's not spiritual. He's trying, something's going on there or something. He's like, we can't bring him to you. I was like, but he requested to see me. It's his right. He has a right to see me. They're like, you want to see him? I was like, yeah, I want to see him. Like, okay, then, we'll go get him. And I was like, go get him. Well, he's in solitary. Made sense. So I start to hear like chains and shit. I look out, and then, like I said, normally these guys come to me in like track pants and a t-shirt. And this guy's wearing like orange. He's got shackles on his feet and his hands, and they got him bent down like this, and they won't let him look up. So he's bent over, and they're bringing him to me like a fucking animal. And like, here you go. You want him? I was like, yeah. I goes, and you can remove his shackles, please. They're like, what? I was like, could you please remove his shackles for me? They were like, okay. So he sits down. He just looks at me. And I'm just here calm as can be. And he's just like, you know who I am? Nope. I don't have a clue who you are. He said, well, I run this place. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. How can I help you today? Well, I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to kill someone or I'm going to kill myself. I was like, oh, he really does want to see me. Or he's actually going through. He's, you know, he really has something he wants to talk about. And I didn't even skip a eyelash. To me, that's nothing, right? Hearing that from a, you know, that sounds shocking, but like, you know, in there, that's not shocking. And I said, well, let's talk it out. I said, well, what do you mean you got to kill someone? What's the deal with that? He's like, well, he said, I just came back from federal. So he spent a stint up there for murder. He goes, now, you know, they caught me for one. But, you know, I was like, yeah, I get it. There's others. And he says, I said, well, he said, you don't understand. He said, I run a gang. He said, I'm going to get out of here next week. Someone from the gang's going to pick me up. And we're going to go kill someone. Within 10 minutes of me getting out of here, someone will be dead for ratting me out. That's the rules. I was like, okay, cool.
How old is this guy?
He's probably like 40.
Okay.
He has 8 kids for 7 women.
So full life of this kind of shit.
Been in jail his whole life, yeah.
Wow.
Hasn't met none of the kids. And he, and I say, you know, well, what about suicide? And he's like, man, I'm sick of the life, man. He's like, this when he starts telling me, got all these kids, I've never seen them. You know, like, he said, I'm sick of the life. And then at some point, he's like, I even missed. So when I'm in a prison, I only have 20 minutes with these guys. And my goal, honestly, I swear, is to completely transform them in 20 minutes. If I fucking can, I'm going for it. Because I know they all have trauma. And I know they haven't dealt with it or talked about it probably.
Yeah.
So I try to find a seed of compassion, I guess, or something. And at one point, he's saying he's sick of the life, sick of the life, sick of the life. He missed his grandmother's funeral, but the way he said grandmother, his whole body changed. And I was like, oh, because I knew then, right? That was his weakness. Like that was where that's where the toughness goes out the window, and now he's just a normal guy who loves Nan. I said, tell me about your grandmother. And dude, He put his head down, and his whole body started convulsing from trying to stop himself from crying. And he was just holding on to the chair. I said, it's okay, man. Let it out, man. And he just started fucking bawling, man, right? And he's bawling, but he's kind of like this, and he's kind of like this. And I get up, and I'm like, just stop besides the crying, like, you all right, man? He's like, what? I say, since you've been in here, you've been sitting all the way. He's like, oh no, I have a shank up my ass. I was like, what? I didn't say what, like I was scared. I was like, said it very matter-of-factly, like, what? I have a shank up my ass. Now I'm in a room with this murderer guy with the shank up his ass who could take me hostage if he wants to. And I'm just like, oh. And I didn't say nothing. He's still crying a little bit. At this point, it's kind of over. And he stops. He goes, what goes on in this room stays in this room, right? And I knew what he meant. Not the murder talk, none of that. He meant crying in front of me. Oh, yeah. And I was like, yep. And he got up. And man, in prison, you don't touch each other. That's a rule. But it's not a rule made by the prison. It's made by the prisoners. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're homophobic.
Yeah. And also someone might kill you.
And someone could kill you. Yeah. Absolutely. So he stood up and I stood up. And man, I just fucking hugged the guy, man. He put his head here. And man, we just hugged and we both cried. You know? We both cried a lot.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And he goes, man, I heard you were good, but holy fuck. He's like, yeah. And I'll never forget, man, 5 days later, I'm at work, my phone rings. I answer. What are you at? I'm like, who's this? He says his name. I'm like, first of all, well, I'm angry because now he's calling me on my personal phone, which is no-go. You just cross the boundary. Because I have a daughter, right? So there's certain things about working in the prison that were like no's for me. Like not having prisoners come to my house when they got out. Not like just keeping it very separate. Because they all want to hang out with me when they get out, right? It's just natural.
Makes sense though that you.
Yeah, no, I did it once, man. I learned my lesson. I gave the guy half my clothes, and then he went on and disappeared and spent $10,000 in CERB checks on blow and fucked me over at work. Made me look like an idiot because I had him in there as a volunteer at the food bank. And anyway, I gave him a chance. I said, no more. Anyway, this guy, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm getting out today, man. I'm like, what, you're in prison right now? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm calling you on the cell. I'm like, you're calling me on a cell phone and you're in prison? He's like, dude, I told you I run the place, man. He's like, I'm like, you got a cell phone? He's like, my mom buys the guards. I'm like, okay. He's like, anyway, I just want to let you know, man. I'm not going to kill that guy, and I'm not going to kill myself. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you were right. Because I had said to him, one of the things I said to him, I said, everyone's scared to death of you, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, especially the people in your gang below you, right? He's like, fuck, yeah. I was like, so why are you so scared to not kill someone? Your ego. I'm getting a bit in his face still, and I'm starting to get a bit more, like, I'm challenging him a little bit, right? I was like, I don't believe that if you don't kill this guy, no one's going to do anything. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I think that if you don't kill this guy, no one's going to say nothing to you. He's like, never really thought about that. Anyway, he thought about it a lot. Because he had mentioned it to a couple of the guys because he started out to make phone calls. He's like, he said, you were right. He said, I mentioned it to a couple of the boys and he thought they were going to say, no, you have to. That's the rules. Title.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Anyway, so he got out and he didn't do it. And I said, after the very last thing I said to him was, please don't ever call me again. Thank you. I went down to the prison. Next day I said, I need a break. I need a few months off.
That's incredible, though. You saved 2 lives.
Yeah. It was amazing. It's been.
What's the toll like?
What?
What's the toll like on you
Me,
when you're
it's
doing
really
that kind of
hard.
work? Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. No one's ever asked me that. It's funny that no one's ever asked me that. Because in their world, they debrief. So, like, they do debriefs, right? So, like, say, like, but I didn't have access to a debrief person because I'm in there as a contractor. But if you're a staff and you have an incident, you would go see the psychologist and you'd have a debrief, called a debrief. Make sure you're okay. So, yeah, that's what happened to me. I had this cumulative trauma, right? I witnessed that huge fight, and that was still there. I never really dealt with that. And then there was seeing this guy like 3 weeks ago when a guy swallowed 27 razor blades, for instance. Right? It's like, and you're going home at night and you're like, is this guy going to, I'm asking him not to kill himself, but is he going to before I make it back next week, right? So suicide is a big thing in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, way more than most people will ever experience. I've been on the receiving end of the call, as in, like, I just took a whole bottle of pills, goodbye. I got a gun to my head. Lots of times. Or losing prisoners. At the food bank, I would lose one food bank client a month, either to overdosing on fentanyl or stabbing, or because it's Cookstown Road, or suicide, right? In that world, man. There's a whole underbelly of St. John's, the gathering place. There's a whole little world out there that the privileged people don't get to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I volunteered at the soup kitchen downtown. For their breakfast and serve breakfast.
At the church.
And just seeing all these poor souls, a lot of lost people.
You'll see it, yeah. It's really sad.
My heart went out. There was an older woman there, and I just couldn't believe it.
Well, I believe, now that I know what I know, and after working in the prison, there's some people that don't stand a chance in life from the time they're born.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're born into drug-addicted parents or alcoholic parents, poverty. What becomes your normal, right? Your beliefs are your boundaries. Like, what you believe is your boundary in this world. Like, what do some people think they can make $100,000 and someone else think they got to be on welfare? It's purely luck of the draw of who you were born and what parents you ended up with.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
One guy ended up with the fucking welfare parents, addicted to everything, and they could have been a doctor.
Yeah.
Just no resources to help them, going to school, starving,
Well, we're all walking around with the luggage of our childhood.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Either you drop the bags.
Well, I say, like I said this yesterday in my retreat. There's a point when you have to reparent yourself as part of your own healing, right?
Absolutely.
I call it reparenting. You have to go look inside, and it usually happens around 37, 38. I find people look back, and at this point, usually you have kids, you're married, you have the job, you have your house. But you get that feeling. It's like, hold up now, I'm not happy. I did everything I was supposed to do that they told me. But men don't talk about it.
No.
Oh no, they don't want to say they're not happy with their wife and family. It sounds horrible. It doesn't mean you don't love them. That's the problem. Something else I taught in my retreat. I call it an and mindset. We, by nature, have a binary mindset. We think in ors. Good or bad. Vegan or not vegan. Or smoker or whatever. It's always or, right? But to be completely free, humans have the capacity to hold two opposing things at once. But you have to have that as a mindset to allow it to happen. So before, when I would get depressed, I would get depressed about getting depressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, like right now, I'm going through a depression, right? But because I cry every day. I have a deep, deep, deep spiritual practice, so I get overwhelmed a lot with joy and beauty and awe. I cry at a leaf, man. Sometimes I cry of pain, but usually most of my tears are overwhelmed with beauty or joy or yeah, man, it's been a wild ride. Now that I'm talking it all out, because usually on podcasts they're short form.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first podcast I've done. Right, usually it's very like clickbait, get me
Yeah.
through the
Fuck
sentence.
that. I like a real story.
No, this is the first time, man. It's like weird for me to actually tell it. No, I'd never ever really. I don't think I've done this in my life where I went back and like. Usually I'm telling the main points. When I was 40, I
Yeah.
took a vow of service. When I was 50, but it's very, and that's what, so it's interesting.
No, it's nice to see somebody completely.
Yeah, well, I think, and that's another problem we have in the world. We concretize people. We look at them, and then we don't do it on purpose. It's the brain does it, right? To be efficient, but we look at people and based on what they're wearing and stuff, without us consciously doing it, we start making a lot of assumptions about that person we're looking at.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, dude.
Well, when you start seeing, I found having kids really changed the way I see people, because
Yeah, sure.
you can see the kid in them a lot of times.
Yeah.
As funny as that sounds, but like there's a reason. Like everyone was once a kid. They were a little boy, a little girl.
Absolutely.
And they have individual lives that lead them to believe or be these things, and another thing is too, I find that especially with men, like everyone's got a lot on their plate. And I mean, you're holding a lot of weight for people from, all the work you've done in prisons.
Yeah.
But even when someone comes to you with your problems, you're carrying weight for them, and it's a useful thing in like I'll say in a tribe, in a family, in a friend group. And if the good thing is that when you carry weight for someone, they're going to carry it for you, But some people are like, they don't have time for it, and then they're the ones that bottle everything inside.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have friends, so I don't have a group of friends, right? Like I don't have a group of male friends that I live in a wellness world. All my friends are women. So I have some male acquaintances, but I don't have a guy friend that I can call up and be like, hey, dude, like, I need your help, or, I don't know, even... And I think this is a major problem in society, man. Just like something simple. I don't know, I need someone to help me lift something. I don't even have that person. I have to go on Facebook Marketplace and hire a couple of young fellas to come by and pay them to lift the... But that's where we are in society.
Well, if you ever need a hand, I'll help you out.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, we've gotten to that point, right? Yeah. Where it's like, when I grew up, I grew up on a dead-end street in Windsor. Man, I knew everyone's name. it was hello, how you doing? Come in, have it. It was just now I live in Kilbride, neighbors on both sides. We smile at each other, but I certainly don't know their names. Or like,
Oh man, communities have broken down.
we're not out like help, no man. It's very different now, right? So like this age of the individualism has caused most of our problems.
Absolutely.
We were born to live in tribes.
Yeah.
And that's why, it's one of the reasons why we want to be liked. That comes from a healthy place. Like, I'm a fucking rebel by nature and I don't want to be liked. Or certainly I don't care, but I do realize like that need for, although I do need validation a lot because I didn't get it from my mommy when I was young, but so I still seek that. I'm very aware of it, but yeah, man, I find men like, so this is what happens. Okay, so I'm pretty well known. Like I do a lot of podcasts and on the news and stuff, advocate, but. So once a week, I'll get a message from a guy. It'll be like this long. I'll wake up to it because they're up late and I go to bed early. And it's going to be, I drink too much. My life's falling apart. I've been following you for 2 years, but yet they never once liked the comment. Never, like, I didn't know they were following me. Never heard of this person. And then I'll message them. Because I can offer them coaching. I can be like, hey, come to my men's yoga class. I don't know. But surely there's something I can offer you. And they just go away, man. And it's a huge problem I find with men. Taking that next step. It's like, they'll reach out. There's a guy in Montreal right now, man. And for 5 weekends in a row, he's in a rehab. And I was hired to help him by his woman. And you think he's avoiding me, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But then he'll write me a message when he knows I'm sleeping.
Passive.
But then on the next day I'll be like, let's schedule a call. We still haven't talked yet. All right? And I find like it's frustrating because I want to help men. But I find men in Newfoundland, and I can only speak to that because I can't speak. I'm a man from Newfoundland. But I do find men in Newfoundland, I wouldn't say we're part of the problem because that sounds bad. But women, okay, put it this way. All my women friends, they have women groups, knitting groups, hiking groups, fucking you name it, man. They're doing all kinds of shit.
Yep.
Need some support, call up your girlfriend. Guys, man, we can't seem to get our shit together in Newfoundland to help each other, or I don't know what it is. But I find I think it's happening, like this is happening right now, right? But man, look, I taught a retreat on Saturday, a wellness retreat. Me and 50 women, not one guy there. So there you go. Just goes to show you.
What is your retreat? What's it called?
It was called Nourish. It was a wellness retreat. I did one 3 weeks ago called Heal at Tree of Life. That was for trauma, people who had severe trauma. And then I did another one. So I do retreats. I have a men's yoga class on Tuesday nights that's not like yoga, as in it's a bunch of older guys and it's chilled out, and it's not about touching your toes and shit.
I read your description. It was good. It's like it's not to look good.
It's the anti-yoga. Yeah. It's
it.
it's for guys who would never go to yoga. That was my whole point. It's like I want to start a yoga class for guys that would never go to a yoga studio.
That's a cool idea.
Because yoga studios are intimidating for men.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, man.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It doesn't seem like a man-friendly environment when you go in.
I mean, most of the people are younger, and they're all wearing Lululemon, and they all got abs, and they're wearing underwear and bras, and most of the guys in hot yoga got their shirts off, and they're jacked, and you're in there, and you're 50, and you're it's totally intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start a class for those guys, man.
Then what's it called?
What,
the yoga class.
Oh, I just call it Yoga for Men. It's secret. As in, like, I don't want douchebags showing up, those guys with the abs and stuff. So basically, I mean, anyone watches this can reach out and go, certainly.
How do they find it?
Reach out to me, man. Just DM me.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it is kind of private, like, in a way, like, it's not private, like, anyone can come, but again, like, you have to realize it's not that yoga class. If you're going to yoga to lose weight, gain, get abs, I don't know, any of that stuff, this is not the class for you. This is a class for men to get out once a week in a healthy environment with other men that's not misogynistic, not patriarchal. Doesn't matter what you wear. It's all about two things: functional movement. I teach people how to move so they don't hurt their back when they're shoveling snow and playing with their kids. That's how I think. So the yoga poses I use are about that. A lot of yoga poses are aesthetic. They look cool. So when I'm teaching yoga, it's like, well, you know, we're all like in our 50s, late 30s, 40s, right? Like prone to injuries. So like, I'm always thinking like functional movement. And the other part is teaching them skills to calm their mind. Because a lot of the men in my class are high achievers, real estate agents, you know, their minds go off the friggin' rails, right? And they don't know how, they don't have tools in their toolkit to do that.
Okay.
So it's really about functional movement and calming the mind.
I'd like to check one of those out.
Yeah, come check it out, man.
I'm always injured. So yeah, the final question is, if you could give one piece of advice for somebody going through a rough time, what would it be?
Ooh. The number one thing that I think people, whether you're a man, woman, is to not believe your thoughts, man. Honestly, like, when my Buddhist teacher said that to me for the first time, my mind blew off my head, because I thought that if your thought said something, it was real. So it was that belief that ultimately allowed me to say, have a craving and not act on it, right? Because before I thought, like, there was no separation. So in Buddhism or in meditation, we want to go from reactivity to responsiveness. That's a very different. Your reaction is what your trauma response is that inner child, is that like when you get angry, like it's that reaction, right? But most times that reaction is coming from your subconscious and is not what's appropriate or needed. So you need to get some skill sets to create a bit of space that you can respond in a way that's healthier. But the first step is always self-awareness in any kind of healing, but to not think that your thoughts are facts, and to know that you're the master of your thoughts, not the other way around. The other thing I would say is this: be fucking more kind to yourself. I swear, man, the biggest thing that saved my life, and it's only been the last couple of years, it's called self-compassion. Sounds cringy for men. But man, we're so hard on ourselves, you know? I said this as a joke at the retreat because I was teaching self-compassion. It was all women, but I can say the same joke here. But basically I was like, imagine you know, your buddy calls you up, right? And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, how's that new Tinder missus you got on the go? He's like, oh man, she ghosted me. And you're like, well, dude, man, you know, you got like 20 pounds on, you look like shit lately. Like, we would never say that to your friend.
No.
But guess who we say it to? Ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure we do, man. We look in the mirror, what do we see? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Do you know the story of two wolves?
No.
I'm going to leave you with this. This is a great ending. I'm going to leave with this because if you say, what's one thing I would leave, I will tell you this story because I think it sums up all my teachings in one thing. And every time I tell it, it's the first thing I tell prisoners. And this is my version of it. Is this the camera? An elderly indigenous lady is passing on wisdom to her grandchild. And she says, "Dear grandchild, inside of us there are two wolves fighting for our attention. One wolf is full of hatred, greed, delusion, and the other wolf is full of love, compassion, patience." And she looks at her grandmother and says, "But grandma, which one wins?" And she says, "The one you feed, dear."
That's brilliant.
Exactly. Soul M right there. Because that's most of our problem. Which wolf are you feeding, right? Are you feeding that wolf that reactionary wolf? Or are you feeding this new person you want to be? You know what I mean? Like, what I find is everybody wants to change, but nobody wants to change. That's a huge thing. Like, change requires change. So if you want different outputs, you need new inputs. People want to do the same inputs and magically change.
They don't want to put in the work.
Yeah, put in the work. So thanks for having me, man.
My
It's
pleasure.
Great conversation.
Love the
and
interview.
Love it.